All right, guys, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. So this is going to be part 2 or part 3 of I almost said velocity video that I did. Vertigo video that I did. I actually was cut off. My internet went out at the end of the previous video. I'm not worried about it. I had already shared so much information. I would be surprised if anybody made it to the end. So this is going to be a channeling. I'm going to just go into flow about what's going on with the earth, about what's happening in our bodies. And if you feel called to check out the other video, I did a lot of just research on vertigo, and it was very fascinating. I didn't make it into the 3 hairs and going down the rabbit hole and the trifecta of energy that's happening, but perhaps I'll do that at another time. So I'm just going to go into a little flow and see what comes through. Some of this is meant to be felt, not necessarily understood. I might even share some light language that could help with vertigo at some point, or to make us feel a certain way to enhance our feeling of stability versus necessarily getting rid of vertigo. It might just help us kind of stabilize those frequencies, and we'll see if that comes through today or if I do that in a separate video accordingly. So the languages and sounds that we use that move through our ears, that move through our sound acoustics, give us the opportunity to balance out our entire temple, if you will. And I'm seeing temple like temple, the temples in the head, and also our body. For as we move through this new fluid that we are actually connected intrinsically through, the plasma that is holding us in place, one might say, we are also moving our fluids around in our body in a certain way that are allowing us to host our body in a more adaptable, in a higher adaptation. One might call it an advancement in our technology. And so this is happening on a cellular level. It is happening on an earthly level. It is happening physical, micro to macro, we could say, on all levels, for we are up leveling. And as we move through dimensional shifts, the way in which we orientate ourselves in relationship to time is different. And so how we harmonize in our acoustic melody that we essentially, I'm hearing so much, move through, is going to allow us to adapt more to what it is that we're moving through. And what is it that we're moving through? Well, our earth is making some changes, and so the environment in which we exist within is also adapting accordingly. And so this adaptation is occurring because we are moving through a period of acceleration. And as we move and accelerate through our orientation with time, what it is that we are able to perceive and how it is that we are able to perceive what it is that we are moving through is also enhanced. So many of our technological discoveries will also have to be advanced. And so we could call organic technology, as well as inorganic. And we are being called to balance out the imbalance that has occurred over the centuries of manipulation. When we say manipulation, we're going to play with this for a moment. Manipulation. Let's break that down. We're down a little bit and look at the poles of the earth. Let's think about some of the technology that has shifted some of the magnetics within the earth, and also has thrown some of the sonar receptivity of animals off. And some of this is organic and some of this is not organic. So we have created compounds inside the earth structure that sends out signals that is supposed to enhance our technology. And yet these signals are disturbing the actual core of the Earth's structure from one perspective. And the quaking that we are experiencing sometimes is I'm seeing a wave, and I'm seeing an outspray of that. So when the wave collapses and that energy is pushed out, that's what I'm seeing. it creates a ripple effect. And so the earth is also very able to counteract this. She has her own fail-safe switches, one might call it, that are put in place that are actually able to stimulate her own response mechanisms, for she is a living being, just as we are a living being. And this whole series of transmissions that we have been sharing with this transmitter, me, has been speaking to this. And so we will speak much about this in the days and weeks to come, should we be allowed to bring this information through, plan words aloud, out loud, for how it is that we are harnessing these energies and these waves is important. And so while this may bring up a resonance of fear or questions about this particular technology, we wish to shift the energy and the frequency or the intention and attention to the subject matter of acoustics and sound waves, and recognize that the human potential to activate their own triggers inside of them, to bring up their sound, bring up their coordination, to assist in re-coordinating the coordinates of the natural acoustic signature that is held within the electrical stamp of the human body, is what is needing to be or recommending to be enhanced at this time. So the more we can do in order to stabilize our own frequency, the more we are able to come together and activate these frequencies, the more we are able to tune in to the Earth's frequencies that give us the ability to enhance her activation. And this is a very broad description of what's happening. For the science is much more complicated than we may have the time or energy to tune into right now in regards to that. For the science is not what this is about. Yes, this is science-based because the body is a living organism, which is science. The earth is a living organism. But the mathematics and scientifical, I'm getting like a whole like pontification, scientific, realistic, all of that is important, but we want to stick to the basics right now. For the topics that we are covering are essentially about the human body. The human body is an acoustic sound, has acoustic sound mechanisms that allow it to respond to stimuli. And many are experiencing an inability to respond to their environment because their stimuli are all in a flutter. They are all in flux. And so we are in the process of remapping the scales. And there are those of us who came here as conductors. There are those of us who hold a conductive frequency that is perhaps a little bit stronger because there are everybody is different. All of us have the ability to equally conduct or co-conduct through our sound signature, but some are more strongly tuned into this acoustic energy than others. And so while some have a stronger perception through sight, some have a stronger perception through thought, or are stronger physical sensations through the skin, there are those who also have a strength within the inner ears. And so we invite those who feel into these words and recognize that I'm hearing they are the birds of a feather. You guys, as I'm saying this, I have messages coming through, but then behind that, I have another message. It's kind of confusing a little bit, but we'll figure that out. And so birds of a feather, and we are inviting you to flock together. We are inviting you to come into the flock and to let your ability to fly with this new enhancement and teach others how to spread their wings. For within the ears and within the ability to hear comes more. And we are here to share that this is a sound-based environment. Oh, plan words. It's sound. Like our environment is actually more sound than we think it is, even with all of the destabilizing that is intentionally or unintentionally happening in our environment. Okay, so I'm getting two channels that I'm just sharing. I'm hearing we open in alignment with weapon. So we'll play with that. While there may be certain sound signatures that are being utilized to destabilize our sound signature, we would turn our attention to what it is that we are actually opening to. For what has happened is this inorganic technology that has a land-based frequency that is being potentially harnessed for acuity, play on words, maybe scrambling some senses. It is also activating those who are able to find their center at times or more often than not. And this is heart center, by the way, guys. It has opened up. So as there may be a weapon, we open and are activated by this internal combustion chamber. Something has busted through the membrane that was keeping us in separation, that was keeping different parts of the brain in separation, that was keeping parts of the sensory organs separated from one another, for we are a walking, living unit. We are coming into unification, for we cannot be utilized or used in anything but harmony. That all is temporary. All of those old usages or dynamite techniques are not, I'm hearing, are not open for discussion, play on words. I'm hearing percussion, equinox. And so we are coming together as a human collective, as a human organism, rather than a separate entity of organs that are placed in certain parts and pieces. We are coming together more and more as a whole, as a complete pie, as a completely reorganized organism. And so we are playing in a different chord and harmony. And because of this, I'm kind of seeing what this is getting to. Because of this recent disturbance, and we put this in one, even though there have been many, because they are all connected to the same plan. And we are not one. This is a collective of many beings that are all higher frequency. We are not one necessarily being. We are many that are held within the soup or the plasma or the sound signature of the eternal wellspring of light and sound, meaning the energy that I'm tuning into that are sharing this. And so while some of the story that we are sharing in this moment, in this transmission, is related to a time signature, timeline, and a dimensional reality, this is truly not the message. The message is to listen to the sound behind this sound. Pause. All right, I got a little emotional. Sometimes when I'm processing this information, it's emotional. We have things that we process and it brings up feelings and things held in our cellular memory, because what I'm seeing is we're merging past, present, and future. And sometimes there's things from lower dimensions, sometimes there's things from higher dimensions, sometimes there's things coming through from old timelines. What I'm hearing is it's a reckoning. reorganizing, reckoning, remembering. And so this can feel sticky, tricky at times. And we are essentially weaving together or braiding together two messages, because there are two versions of reality that are essentially overlapping or overlaying one on top of the other, if we wish to pronounce it in that way, even though that is a linear perspective or idea of how this works, but we will call it an overlay for now. So many of us are feeling the discomfort of one reality and the pressure coming from that, while simultaneously feeling the expansiveness that this is offering through the healing that is happening because of this presentation of this lower reality, if we wish to call it that. So in essence, the lower reality can be seen as a gift laced with many different painful interactions, potential sensitivities, discoveries, and emotional upwellings, as you will feel within the body and experience potentially with each other. And as we have all of this information bubble up, it can be overwhelming at times. And so we wish to not ignore those particular pieces of a particular reality, for that reality is coming to a crescendo. It has exercised its fullest potential from one perspective, and we are feeling the ripples of that potential directive. And it must play out. And as it plays out and sputters out, it is lighting up everything in its wake. And I'm seeing that's a play on words, like a wake of a funeral. So it's like, I'm hearing like a dying symphony, a dying orchestra, and we are witnessing its wake. But also, that's a play on words, like it's causing more people to come into an aware and awake mode, and it's creating a wake. It's creating a, not just a ripple, but a wake, like a big wave that's actually having a counter effect than its original purpose. And I'm also being shown that don't get stuck in that, because the original purpose may not have been as negative as we think it was. And you guys might know what I'm referring to. And if you don't worry about it. We're just talking about sound and energy and a merging of dimensions. It is in reference to some of the things that are happening on Earth right now that many of us feel a little bit like we're kind of like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. That's weird. Whew. So as the human harnesses its power, he, she, we, all, that is, as the human comes into its own completion of an old cycle, it lets go of the need to recycle. And we say it because there is one version that is morphing into another. And so we look back at these experiences, at that memory of who we were. And some of us are feeling ready to be the person who we already are in the future. Yet we are already that now. So we would invite all who are feeling into this frequency to recognize that this reorganization that is occurring is happening at a cellular level. Many of us are becoming highly sensitive to the stories and the programs and the sounds that are, I'm just seeing like chatter, white noise, loud noises. And I'm hearing brick. You guys, have you seen Anchorman? And I'm hearing as the brick and mortar falls. For we are no longer tied to a particular timeline that is trying to essentially rope us back in. For the more that we believe in something, the more it believes in us, and the more it requires us to believe in it. And this is where the I'm seeing it like, well, the movie, like, what is it really? And I'm also seeing like the more we believe in something, the more power we give it, right? The stronger it is. Or better spoken, the stronger it seems, because it's our energy that we're giving it. What is it? Whatever it is, guys, the social, the political, the old structures, you know, some of these things that are really becoming obvious. So we must move through this chapter as eloquently as possible, and we see this as a time of deep mourning. We see this as a time of deep grieving. We see this as a time of extreme compensation, plan words. Competing energies, competing with the old and the new. And so if we can move out of this view of competition, us versus them, he versus she, we versus me, we recognize that we must come into a place of compatibility and compassion, for we cannot hold or harbor ill will and simultaneously move into the higher dimension. It must be reorganized so that we can move with ease and let go of false diversity. Let us play with this for a moment. For diversity is a beautiful thing when expressed in uniqueness and creative diversity and expandability. Yet diversity is also diversion. It can divert us off our true course through the meaning of separation. And so through separation, there is distortion, or through distortion, there is separation. So while each of us is a unique piece of the puzzle, we are not separate of that puzzle. We each bring a unique piece to the whole picture. We must not be so disorganized that we believe that we are not connected, and everything is connected. And as we recognize the source that we all move out from, I'm seeing this original sound, that it's like this om, and we just are moving shapes out of this sound. Oof. Getting emotional again. I'm seeing cymatics. We recognize that sound can be used for us or against us, yet it is all from the same creationary soup originally. Therefore, we can move through this next phase of time, we can face this next phase, we can time this next phase appropriately, and let go of the scattered, confusing chaos and move into a state of inner awareness in which we can see and hear, with ears to hear and eyes to see the true sight. I'm hearing behold, and we shall see. For as we hold one another, in compassion, as we hold one another as sacred, as we hold hands and interlock our hearts. Oh my goodness, I'm seeing Care Bears Care. I just watched Chappelle's show the other day. Just seeing Care Bears Care. He brought up the Care Bears. I knew that was synchronistic. Okay, I'm being shown the Care Bears each have they're all different colors. They all have a different power, but they all have to come together in order to really create the Care Bear stare through the heart. We do not need to agree on how we come together. We just need to come together. We do not need to agree on how we interlock our arms. It is simple. We move into a place of understanding that the more we can merge in cooperation, the stronger we are. The stronger we are, and the less we are in separation. For the more we are separate in our individual focus and intent, the easier it is to separate I'm seeing putting us into different tents, like different corners, different. So let us move forward with grace and intensity of focus and compassion. For in this flame of our heart, we find a deeper charge, the ability to move with fluidity and appreciation of one another on this path. I'm hearing the Great Red Road. And we turned all four directions. We turned all four corners. We open and we find the place within our hearts to remain open. We open. We are open. And this allows us to break through this perceived blockage that has been created in levels of hierarchy. For we are the higher arc key. For we are arcing in an electrical configuration. I'm seeing configure 8, infinite cycle. And as we attune to this, we clear out the technology that is land-based, and we begin to tune into the inner innate technology that is based within our true heartland. So let us come together and let go of the score. By doing this, we increase our score. We increase our numbers. We increase the vibration of our number. We increase that which we are in a massive wave of humanitarianism, human interaction, and interlocking combinations of coming together in oneness. This will look different for many of us, for we are not here to conform to one particular shape, yet we are shaping the form. We are creating the formation of our new realities. Therefore, we must come to some form of collaboration and communication in order to create this next stage with as much compassion and creative light-filled chemistry as possible. For when we come together in oneness, we create a chemistry, an alchemy that is mind-bending, that is mind-blowing, that blows out all of the old configurations that are no longer here for the new structure. For we are the new structure. We are the crystalline movement of frequency and energy, of waves. As we come together, we create such a beautiful harmonic of interlocking snowflakes that enhance our net, our vibration, our own inner harp strings, our own inner heightened wings. We open up our channels and we communicate, expanding our wings and expanding how far and how wide our reach actually is. And through this, I'm hearing feathers. Like when a bird flaps its feathers, you feel the ripple. So let us be that energy. Let us be uplifted by one another, and let us lift up one another in these difficult times right now, for we are brothers and sisters, and we are birds of a feather. Let us come together and unite in frequency, in delight. Let us delight in each other's company. And so it is. I was not expecting that particular flow. So in love and light, guys, light it up. Namaste.